some more politics. With the emergence of Atiku Abubakar as the presidential candidate of the main opposition People's Democratic Party, the search is underway on who becomes his running mate. Now, one of those touted is the governor of Delta State, Ifeanyi Okowa. Well, let's cross live now to Asaba, the Delta State capital, where the Commissioner of Information, Charles Ehiedu Aniagwu, joins us now. Thank you very much for joining us from Asaba. Well, let's, just fire straight on. Is it really likely that Ifeanyi Okowa may just be Atiku Abubakar's running mate? How is he reacting to all that talk about the possibility of him emerging VP or running mate?
Well, I can tell you that Atiku Abubakar is somebody that understands development, and we give God the glory, the nature of primaries that we saw with respect to the PDP, which produced Atiku Abubakar, and in the course of moving ahead, is likely going to also look in the direction of those he believes will also bring on board issues of development and putting the Nigerian people first. But actually, strictly speaking on the issues, I saw yesterday on your platform where some individuals were talking about not having a national reach, and I wondered what that meant. A man who had been a local government chairman in the early 90s, and then progressed to becoming a commissioner 3 times, and then a secretary to state government, before moving to the Nigerian Senate, where he also interacted with all the other 108 members of the Nigerian Senate that cuts across the 108 senatorial districts, before proceeding to become the governor of the state, where he have also had cause to interact with governors from across the country. In addition to the number of times he had cause to preside over the convention of the party, that's the PDP. In all these, he had interaction with every person, that's a different person from across the 36 states of the Federation. So when somebody said that a weakness would be in not having been involved in national politics, I began to wonder what that definition meant. And then also when anybody says somebody is not loyal, I don't also know what that meant, because to a very large extent, Okowa respects everybody around him because he believes that every Nigerian deserves to be respected. So in terms of being very ripe for any position in this country, I think he has demonstrated it in the number of positions he has held. Of course, even your station have aired on several occasions the number of giant strides he has been able to record here in Delta, starting from the issue of human capital development, the number of infrastructure he has also built over the years, and how well he has also been able to bring peace to the state, to the extent that today we remain number 1 in oil production on account of the peace that exists throughout the length and breadth of the state. So we do believe that in the search for those who will assist Atiku in delivering the many goods that he has promised the Nigerian people, that looking in this direction will not be a bad idea.
Specifically to the issue of loyalty, those who have raised the question actually, points to the fact that he has a falling out with his one-time godfather and former governor James Ibori. How do you respond to that? That there were squabbles and controversies before the primaries to the primaries of the political parties, and that's where the fallout is, and that's where the loyalty talk is coming from.
Well, now let me first of all correct one impression. When you talk about the word godfather, it's those who didn't understand how they started. In the the return to democratic governance and of course late 90s, there were persons of like minds who came together. It happened that Okowa, Ibori, the likes of James Manager and many others thought that there was the need for them to have some form of paradigm shift. And they came together and contested. What I mean contested, they decided to challenge what was at that time. And of course, there was going to be one governor. It happened at the end of the day, Ibori emerged as somebody who wanted, and all of them supported him. They were contemporaries. When they supported him, he won. Having become the governor, that automatically meant that he became the leader. And having become the leader, he also thought that some other persons assisted him in winning that particular position, and he appointed a number of them into different positions. Okowa was even favored at that time to become his deputy, but because of certain other political permutations, that didn't take place, and so he was made a cabinet member. And for the 8 years, he was a member of that cabinet, with Ibori being the governor and the leader of the entire park. Of course, the constitution allows somebody for a maximum of 2 terms, which comes to 8 years. After that, their leader at that time, too, Ibori, was able to also cause the members of that group, the Ibori family, political family, to support Emmanuel Eweta Udua, who was also in charge for 8 years. And then you do know also the principles of the policy of the PDP, that once you are the governor, you become the political leader of the state. And so Okowa became the governor. I need you to understand the difference between a godfather, somebody who picks somebody and decide to tutor him, and at the end of the day become the reason why the person existed, compared to somebody who is your contemporary and then you work together. We have never denied the fact that the Ibori, being the first to become the governor at that time, among members of that group, that he remained our national leader, and will continue to give him that respect. But Okowa, being the governor at the moment, became, just like the principles of the PDP, the leader of the party. Let me also make it very clear that Okowa and Ibori are not fighting. They are not having any problems. You could have certain political differences in terms of choice of who should be. Of course, you know it's allowed in politics. You do know that in politics is more like a concentric circle of conspiracy, where you have conspirators coming to think of what suits the people best interest. And in this case, it just happened that it does appear that they look in different directions. But at the end of the day, Okowa said he's going to make it very, very clear. Let whoever that is much more popular among the contestants be the person to be favored by the delegates. And then, of course, the election took place, and the delegates made their choice in the person of Sheriff Oborowuri. I have not seen leader James Ibori fighting with the governor, who is the leader of the party at the moment in the state. There has never been any issue of disloyalty between the present leader of the party in the state, as Senator Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa, and our national leader, James Ibori, who have also been a very good friend. There has never been any time that you saw any one of them exchange words. So those who are talking about the issue of Godfather, they got it wrong. It's not like somebody waking up and saying that Nnamdi Azikiwe is the godfather of Obafemi Awolowo. These are contemporaries who saw the need to bring in certain development at certain times, and whether you like it or not, one person will emerge at a time. And once we emerge as a governor, just like Buhari emerged as a president, Tinubu is not Buhari's godfather. Buhari, having emerged, became the leader of the party because he's now the president of the federation. Of course, a while ago, you read a report where he said that he's pleading with the governors of the APC to please give him the opportunity to suggest who could possibly become the flag bearer of the party.
All right.
That does not mean that if any other person come up and think in a different direction that there is a fight, there is no trouble between James Ibori and Senator Okowa, the governor of Delta State. All
right. Will there be trouble between Ifeanyi Okowa and the Southeast? Will he be accepted by the Southeast in the event that he emerges vice presidential, or running mate, better still? When the governors met in Asaba, insisting on a southern presidency in 2023, was Ifeanyi Okowa in the picture?
Well, thank you very much for raising that issue, and I'm happy that you've raised it. Don't forget that when that meeting held, and the governors of the South expressed the need for the South to produce the governor in 2023. That was not by any stretch of imagination without prejudice to the rights of our brothers and sisters in the North to also take a shot at the #1 position in the country. What is most important is that whoever becomes the governor of this country, the president of this country, is going to govern for all of us. He's going to ensure that whether you are in the South or whether you are in the North, that the Nigerian nation works for us. The reason why there have been serious agitation to the issue of zones is that those who have had the privilege to occupy the position of authority, particularly in the last 7 years, have not been fair to a number of other persons, even outside their zone. But even with that being in mind, I have said the last time I had interaction with your medium, that it's not even a question as to where the person comes from, but what the person does with the power. If you are from Katsina, like in the case of Muhammadu Buhari, I'm not too sure that life has become much more better for the people in Katsina. What is important is that if you have a president, and in this case, by the grace of God, Atiku Abubakar, emerging from the northeast, that is able to remember that the man in the southeast, the man in the south-south, the man in southwest, north-central, and of course northwest, deserve to be taken care of. And at the end of the day, is able to implement policies that addresses the issues of development, and of course the welfare of everybody across the length and breadth of this country, as very clearly stated in Section 14, subsection 2, paragraph B of the 1999 Constitution, which makes security and the welfare of the people the primary purpose of government. And so if that happens, you discover that the issue of cry as to what zone should produce will die down. It is true that the people of the South, and indeed South-South and Southeast, do earnestly yearn for the number one position in the country. But those who are saying that the issue of betrayal, if anybody wanted to be fair, then everybody should be talking about the Southeast. That is the only zone, to the best of my knowledge, that have not produced a president, particularly in this dispensation, since the return of democracy. So if anybody is saying that there was a betrayal, it should have been anybody from the Southeast. But you also asked whether he's acceptable to the people of the East. To the best of my knowledge, he has a whole lot of friends across the length and breadth, not only leaders of the Southeast, and he has everything to be able to ensure that we'll have a better country.
Charles Aniagwu, thank you so much for coming on the news tonight to clarify some of those issues with us.